And we are live. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we are live. There you go. We are alive. That's right. 7. Okay, guys. Hey, everyone, guys and girls, and everyone in between. We are online, live streaming again. It's fun, isn't it? It's interesting. We every time we think, oh, we need to prepare in advance. We need to really try these things out. We need to kind of take a few days before we go live and check it all out, prepare. But most of the time life happens and we end up doing it all in the last half an hour and literally like last preparations, sending out invitations. It all happens literally in the last couple of minutes. And then just 1 minute left, send push notifications. So maybe it's a good thing. We don't know yet. But well, we have 7 people. Yeah, good morning, Mark. Hey, Umit. Good to see you guys. Go. We've been preparing for 20 years. That's true. We have been preparing for a long time, but we haven't been doing this. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun. All right. So look, today we are talking about our educational modules, finally, courses and classes. It's been quite a journey. It was more than a year ago now, I think, about a year ago that we've been planning some form of courses module for a while, but we had a client who approached us about a year ago, and they have this amazing school for young people, which due to COVID situation, they had to take online. And so they used to run this real life classes for them. But they had to kind of adapt and switch to online only. And they liked Una, they liked the social aspect of it, but they really wanted to go to just turn it all into something kind of converged business where they can potentially later bring it to the real life sort of scenario like they used to, but they want to build out their own online courses system. And it's like a school pretty much. So they engaged us to build some educational modules for them, the functionality that helped to get that going. But based on that, we basically agreed that we would build our core courses and classes modules as well. So they kind of became the foundation for their build. But also now, after all of that quality control and the development process, the cycle that we normally have to go through, we finally have it, and we released that in Una 12. Now it's time to have a look at them and see how they work. Okay, let's go. All right, I do have Alex with me online as well, so and he might join us as needed. But for now, let's just have a look ourselves. Okay, so I'm showing this on our online.me website. So once again, in live sort of production environment. And we have courses module installed. And if you don't have it installed yet, you can find it in your apps market in Studio. It's a paid module, so it's also part of Pro subscription. So if you have Pro subscription on for Una, then it will just be available for you along with all the others. But otherwise, you can just buy it separately. So courses and classes modules, they work together. Courses is your context modules, kind of like groups. Let's have a look at it. And classes is an actual content module. So as many of you know by now, we have content and context modules. Context are the container modules, and content is the actual content items modules. So we've created a few courses here, but just to show you how that works, let's go back to the process of creation. So let's see, if I want to create a new course, usually in your add content menu, which you can actually pull up to here somewhere, or you can add course link in your courses submenu, or you can actually create a block here with a button like add a course if you want to. But when you keep it tidy, then it's usually in your add content menu. And let's create a new course. So courses at the moment, they're quite simple. They're much like groups, like I said, and there's not that much difference really at the moment. And as we sort of improve and iterate on this module, there would be more sort of course-specific functionality for this type. But at the moment, let's just create one and see how it works. It's very similar to groups right now. So we just invite some students, much like you invite members into a group. So with auto suggestions, we have lots of marks that can join. Probably not this one. And so invite a few people. Test course. Gold fingers. Category. You can change categories in your courses. In Forms Builder, you go to courses module and you can change categories for it in the categories form. Just a test. So depending on whether it's online or offline course, you can actually, because you can create offline courses as well. So if you have an actual sort of event style course where you post this for like a support material, but you can actually have some actual course happening in a location. So location field can make sense, but you can also turn it off in Forms Builder if you want to. And same privacy control, so you can be public, it can be private, it can be for specific membership levels, can be secret course or course designed for selected friends or selected relationship groups. And it can be also for the course as you create it, you can control publishing rights and who can post within that course. Only participants, followers, or anyone, or specific people. So let's just choose participants in this case. And there you go. So this creates a context for classes now. So in this particular sort of installation now, we have already changed the course page a little bit, and I'll go and show you how to do that. So as you can see, we have classes block already on the course page, and you can do this in your page builder. So when you're in Studio, you find your page builder, and you look at courses module. Select the page, view course. And here in courses, you would normally already have classes blocks available and current classes. By default, they would likely be disabled. You just need to enable them to deactivate them. To activate them, sorry. So we've already activated them and positioned them one on the left, the other one on the right. So what the difference between classes block and current classes is that classes block will just list all the classes, including the ones that are happening in the future or have happened in the past, and current ones are just the ones that happen within the period that you specified as the classes, or like between the period of opening and closing, so the period of the class activity. So the current, and we'll see that when we create classes. We'll see what that means. All right. So we activated current classes and standard classes blocks on the course page. And now when we look at our test course, we see this classes block already. We don't see current classes block yet because there's nothing to show. And most of the blocks in Una, they won't show anything. They won't show up if there's no content in them to make sure we're not cluttering. And we can now start creating classes within the course. Classes are also split into modules. So modules, you can think of them as groups of classes. You can create a module, and it can be something like a simple module. Right, then it creates a group. And within the module, you can create a class. So you can just select a module. To make it a bit more interesting, I'll actually go back to our courses now, because we've already created a course. Just we took our usual half an hour before the stream and created a little bit of content that we can play with to make it more interesting, and uploaded some Starry Night pictures for you. So anyway, so we've created a couple of modules already here, and some classes within them. But let's do it again just to reiterate and feel included in the process. So in this case, I've created two modules: design principles and development approach in developing great social software course. Right? So, and let's add additional modules, something like writing documentation. So let's say I've created a course saying for my team, developing great social software course, and I've created three modules: design principles, development approach, and writing documentation modules. Each module can have multiple classes. Now, one of the new features that we don't see in other modules in Una is now we can reorder things like this. When we go into reorder mode, we can actually move them around right here in line, which is pretty cool. And done. And we can actually reorder classes as well. So if we reorder classes, then the open module will let us move them around like this. So maybe this one goes first. All right. Hope you guys are following. If you have questions, feel free to just write them in the messenger, and we'll see. I'll keep an eye on this, and if there's a question that I can answer while talking to you guys, we'll do that. If not, we'll just let that sit for a bit, and we'll address that in the end after the webinar. All right, so I've shown you the modules. So modules are very simple, and you just give them a name, and then you can edit the name, obviously, and you can reorder them. Great. Next, let's look at classes. So classes, we can create a class, and let's say this is in the development approach module. We can do something else, like say in the design principles again, and creating good looking mockups. Make sure they are nice and even. There you go. So when you create a class, you can give it a header image so that the card looks nice. You assign them to a module and give a title. Now the text of the class is important. So this is actually where you put most of your class content. And there's new addition here is that you can also now upload sound, so upload audio files to include them in the page. So all types of media can be added now. So you can add photos, you can add videos, you can record a video and embed this into the message. You can add audio file. You can attach a poll, like to survey people and ask questions. So think of this as your main kind of content page for the class. It can actually be a fairly complex page, but obviously you don't want this to be overwhelming. So if it becomes too big, then consider creating multiple classes within the module rather than just bunching too much together. But this is where a lot of content has to be kind of added to the class itself. So lots of video and audio content here. We're not going to upload it now for a couple of reasons. First, it's going to take a while, and when we are streaming, we can't really upload from the same machine effectively because this will just degrade the stream quality. So let's carry on. So this is where all the content goes, with the rich editor as usual. Now you set the start date and due date for a class. What the start date means is that until the start date or start time is actually reached, the course will not show in current courses block. That's one thing. And the other thing is that it will be used by this field here, classes completed when. So, no, sorry guys, it will by the availability course, or by the availability field. So let's see. Let's say we set it up for that the class starts tomorrow on Saturday and is due for completion, let's say, by the end of the month. Done. Now, next one, class is completed when? Viewed and marked as completed, or replied and marked as completed. So as a teacher, as the class instructor, you can say, okay, so please read the class and just click completed once you're done, and that's enough. Or sometimes you might ask for some sort of comment from the user to actually make sure that they can mark it as completed. So you can choose this as the operator. So the idea here is that to kind of create a foundation for grading eventually, so that people can reply to the class, mark it as completed, but the teacher can then later grade their replies. Even now they can, obviously, you can like the reply, for example. But in the future, the idea is that we can sort of give some sort of grading functionality for the teachers, and then work with those grades to create the overall grade for the course and things like that. So Peter is asking, is there plans for possibility of pay-per-join for a class or a course? Good question. In fact, I should have mentioned this when creating a course. Yes, so we have pay-per-join in groups, and the idea obviously was to bring that same functionality to most of the content modules, including events, spaces, and obviously courses. So we just plan to test it out in groups because that's just the first thing, and then update. So it's going to come into courses very, very soon. The next, it might actually be there before version 13, with sort of trying to keep our between version updates functionality only, or it may be in 13 if 13 comes very soon. So we'll see exactly when it's coming. But yeah, it's a good question. It's definitely that was the plan all along, but we started with groups because that's the simplest and the most reliable context module. So, and what we also plan to do is probably one of the webinars that we're going to do soon-ish is to explain how pay-per-join for a context module is configured. So how it works, what you need to do to enable that, and what's the overall idea behind it. So how close that would be with all the AQB modules, points, wallet, and things like that. So AQB modules, so they are independent modules. They are technically third-party modules, even though, as you might know, we do, like AQB guys also work in Una, not all of them, but anyway, they are still two independent entities. So we can't really tell what AQB is going to do with their modules. We do use them a lot, but at the same time, we try and keep this relationship pretty much the same as we would with any other third-party developer. So I imagine that they will most likely enable, the courses and classes in their points module and points wallet, as they normally do for most of the Una core modules. But this is not my decision to make. AQB is an independent entity, so I can't really tell when and to what extent they're going to do that. Okay, let's carry on, and I'll keep an eye on your questions and come back to them when it's needed. All right, so let's say we say viewed and marked as completed on this one. Now, availability. So, like I said, when so in this field, we decide on when this class should show in current classes block. So whether it's going to be always available or just when previous class is completed. So this is also when the person can actually view and mark it as completed. So what we can do is that, okay, so you can only look and complete this one if you have done the one that goes right before it. Or you can also say, okay, it's only within the period of time that I've specified. Again, this is quite interesting that you can make class current, but you can also allow people to complete and view it after it has been, after the due date, for example. So it's depending on what sort of policies you have for your course. So it can be done after, it can be done between, always, or based on completion of previous classes. So let's just keep this at always for simplicity. And the last one, comments setting. So you can disable comments, or there's the option all comments are shown. At the moment, we could just do enabled, but it says all comments are shown for a reason. The thing is that this is also like in preparation for additional functionality. In this field, we also plan to have a few additional options as we iterate on the classes module. And this would be things like, for example, show comments to the instructor only, or the teacher only. So, for example, if the teacher is asking the questions and students are meant to reply in comments, we can keep that visible to the teacher only so they don't see each other's replies. Things like that. And there'd probably be other variations of how replies are treated and submitted. So we keep this field a bit more open for evolution, so to speak. All right. So let's create our class. And now we have this class creating good-looking mockups with some content. It can be marked as completed now. And because I'm the admin and creator of this, I can obviously edit, delete it, and do all sorts of things with it. Okay. This class is sitting within Developing Great Software course. And it also shows previous class here. So there's this also the block for succession, previous and next. If I go to this one here, so this was the class I created earlier, and it's planning and designing the first module class. And it shows what was the previous class before it and what's the next one. So you can progress between classes. Let's go back to Developing Great Social Software course. So as you can see, now we have 3 classes within this course. I have a couple more modules prepared. Maybe we'll add more classes there. And see how in the current classes block, this class, planning and designing your first module, is showing because our kind of period that we set up for it activated it effectively. So it's a current and effective class and active class, so you can actually participate in it. And if we were to set these classes as participation is only available within the period of activity, then they wouldn't be available for completion. All right. So I think that's pretty much the idea. And like all other modules in Una, classes will create notifications to people who join them, and also they will show in timelines as we are creating classes. And if a person is part of the course, then they would be getting notifications and they would see new classes in their timeline and they can join them from the timeline. So just overall integration with Una system, because that's a native module. All right, so that's in a nutshell is the combination of our courses and classes module. It's still quite basic, but it's already working. And that project that I mentioned earlier, it's actually been active now for a year. They've already done, I don't want to say hundreds, but a lot. They're quite active. So every week they do a few classes and combining videos, podcasts, and even you potentially can embed live stream if you're doing something like what we're doing now within a class. If you want to do a live streaming class with some supporting content, so you can do that. And so it's already been in production on live sites. That was one project, but some others are also using it. But now it's available in Una 12, and anyone can create the courses and classes. So it's really important core module. Well, it's a paid module, but when I say core in this instance, I mean that it's one of the very important modules for us, and we'll be developing more functionality around courses and classes, as this will be one of the foundation modules for our educational solution. All right, so that's it for that. And let's see if you have any questions. Brett, yes, if we have quizzes module, you can do quizzes. That's good point. So I understand there's quizzes module in the marketplace, so we don't have our own, but you can combine your courses with quizzes. It might be a great idea to actually put quizzes within the context of a course. And yeah, that's a very natural fit for an educational context for a course. Oh yeah. So Peter is asking, imagine if you're a teacher, is it possible to moderate pupils joining the next class step in the course? Let's say to deny joining the next because of the actual results did not fit. So at the moment, the participation in the course is very much the same as any group. So that means you can do something like confirmation required in the group setting. And then if someone that you believe, for someone who hasn't passed the previous course, for example, if they didn't pass, then you just deny that confirmation. So you could do that. You can do something like a private or secret course where members are added only by invitation, and so you don't invite pupils who haven't passed the course before. So you can do that, but at the moment, there's no functionality based on limiting access based on completion of previous courses. So we might need to look into it. But that's where it gets interesting, because when you think of courses and classes, there's only so much that you can isolate as core functionality. We actually did quite a bit of research looking at different LMS systems and found that when it comes to online education, there's so many ways you can set it up. Some schools will have policies around completion, like, okay, you need to complete this stage, then you see. If you haven't, then you don't see. Some don't do that at all. It's all pretty much based on you can access just about anything, but you manage your own sort of progress yourself. If you're happy with how you progressed in the previous class, then you can carry on. You just mark it as complete. It's just your organizational approach. So it's really hard to isolate and think, okay, this is how it's going to be, right? So to some degree, we have to be opinionated and say, okay, so we can't please everyone, so let's do it this way. So far, what we could isolate is that, okay, we'll have the structure of courses, and then there'd be classes split into modules. That much I think we'll cover a lot. And then there'd be all sorts of variations. So for example, a school could actually approach us and say, okay, so this is a good base for us, but we want your team to implement this for us in line with our grading policies or completion policies. And then we can look into, okay, so when is anyone accessing the next course? So what are the principles? What are the grading principles? So we can build it out from there on. But it often doesn't make sense adding too much functionality, which is policy specific for the school, into the core module, because this will just blow out base functionality and it would make it harder for everyone to use the module in the future. But we will be definitely adding more and more, but only when we can identify that this is fairly generic and useful for most of the various implementations, then it can go into the core module. Then Alex T mentions that classes is a free module. Yes, good point. I'm mixing this up a lot. So courses is the paid module, classes is a free module. So you can actually use classes even if you don't have pro subscription or you don't want to buy the courses module, because you can just post classes in a group, for example. You can use it with a group. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your questions, for participation. And we'll see you in the next one.